Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in for Chamber Live on Facebook Live. Today's program is titled Know Your Brand, Improve Your Marketing Performance. My name is Alice Barfield, Senior Vice President of the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber, and I am pleased to have as my guest today Esther Tanez, President of Esther Inc. Insurance Agency, and Tom McManaman, President of Stimulus Brand Communications, to discuss brand discovery and its impact on marketing performance. Esther and Tom will review key questions that reveal your unique brand and what distinguishes you, builds familiarity, attracts customers, and wins repeat business, as well as what marketing steps you can and should be taking on. Esther and Tom will be taking questions toward the end of our broadcast, so please feel free to place your questions in the comment area of the feed. Now, I would like to get the program started and turn it over to our guests, Esther and Tom. Esther?
Hi.
Hey, Esther. Hey, Alice.
Thank you, Alice. I am very grateful for this opportunity to be able to share with Tom McManaman, to share some of the inquiries that we all business owners have. As everyone that knows me, I own an insurance agency, but I wear two hats, not only as an insurance agent selling insurance, but also I'm a business owner. Now, many of you remember 2008, how the market crashed and some of us stopped marketing and branding ourselves. And I thought, what a time to share some of the mistakes I made, but also ask an expert like Tom. Thank you, Tom, for saying yes. And talk to small business owners, whether you're a solopreneur or you are a small startup or you're a seasoned small business owner. What should we be doing today? But before we get into that, let's start with the basics. And if you have any questions, just jot them in and we'll try to answer them as we're going or towards the end of the program. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I've got a 40-year career in advertising and brand marketing and brand strategy. I've worked at a couple very large agencies, and I started Stimulus Brand 19 years ago, very much focused on brand development and strategic marketing for companies. And we're largely B2B and professional services. We're located here in Ewing, New Jersey, just down the road from Princeton. And our clients are nationwide and small local.
Fantastic. So, Tom, when we chatted earlier a few days ago, and I asked you to do this with me, I shared with you that I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't know the difference between branding and marketing. So my first question to you is, what is the difference about branding and marketing? Would you explain that in a very simple way for our business owners to?
First of all, never apologize for making mistakes because that's how you get good and successful. You're going to make mistakes along the way. Branding it's critical for companies, even very small startups, to consider branding long before they think about marketing vehicles. And here's the big difference. Branding is really who you are. It is the personality, it is the DNA of what makes you unique, what the reason for being. It's what makes you different than the retailer or the business next door to you. And it's critically important to understand that about yourself. Marketing is the way that you build awareness for that unique you.
That's fantastic. So based on that question, I also got a question from someone that said, so if it's the who, how do I find my who, my branding? How do I know my who? Everyone is excited when we start a business, right? We're so excited. Yeah. We can't wait to open our doors. We think that, oh my goodness, we're going to get, everyone's going to come in through the door. But really, there is a science to this, which is what you're an expert in. Branding is the who, right?
Yes.
So can you tell our audience, how do you find your who? How do you define your who?
It's really very simple, but it requires some homework on your sake. whether you're large or small, very, very small. It's asking yourself a series of questions. And you mentioned about the excitement and the anxiety of starting a business. That's natural. Everyone has that, and they want to get right to the executional items of telling the world that I'm here. It's critically important to just ask yourself a number of questions and be honest with yourself about answering those questions. I know at the end of this broadcast, we have a document that anyone can download that lists a whole series of questions, but I'll just address a few of those that are very, very important. Who are you as a business? Why would anyone in your marketplace care to buy from you as opposed to your competition? That's a very important question to ask. You need to consider, what is your mission? Why are you in business in the first place? And here's some other things to think about. Why would anyone buy your product from someone else? And what do you want people to feel about doing business with you, or to feel emotionally connected to what your product or service is? Because it's all about projecting a feeling, an experience, whether you're buying, a beverage or you're buying insurance. Okay. What is the experience that I have with that company? That is the brand. Whether you change prices, whether you deliver the vehicle in a different marketing item, it's important to consider those things. And then how would you want people to talk about you if you weren't in the room? Think about that, okay? Because in the end, branding comes down to, however you craft your brand, it comes down to, number one, is it the authentic you? And it is what people will say, will think, feel, say, and even write, because we're so social media oriented, about you when you're no longer in the room.
That's awesome. So, many of us, when I first started, I wanted to market my business, aggressively. And I was in every local free newspaper, on cable, on billboards. But I remember making a mistake. And it was that I allowed each person to design the ad, and each ad was different. Now, I know for a fact that branding also includes your appearance, your aesthetics, right? So would you say your logo and your culture and your slogan, all of that, how does that play into the branding and marketing? How does that evolve?
There's an intersection where they do meet. First of all, you have to be in touch with, as I said, just a few of those questions that I mentioned earlier. And there's a lineup, just about 10 or 15 key questions to help you identify who you are, why you're in the market in the first place, why someone should care to buy from you. And all of those things help you understand your personality. If you understand those things, you have a much better idea of what color is the best set of colors to use in your marketing vehicles. What tone of voice? Are you aggressive? Are you salesy? Are you friendly? Are you warm? Are you approachable? Those sort of things determine the marketing vehicles, the tone of your copy. If you use humor in advertising, if your colors tend to be stark, bright, aggressive colors, or very retail oriented, or are they warm and approachable colors? Those are considered options because we know about who you are as a unique brand. So there is an intersection that determines what professionals who do this every day can help you create, a way to promote your brand.
So many times when you start your business, we don't think about mission or vision or culture because we're so focused on our product, right? I'm going to be the best insurance agent in town because I'm friendly and I'm bilingual, blah, blah, blah. But it's much more than that. So having a vision and a mission, it's kind of like the foundation, sounds like, to creating a brand. And I'm assuming that culture then reflects the brand. I think of Apple many times, when I was younger, and for anyone that's in my age group, when we heard Apple, we not only thought about the fruit, but we thought of New York City. But today, when you say Apple, people go into technology right away, right? One of the top and best in technology,
Yeah.
whether it's your phone. So how is Apple? Give me an example, a more tangible example for a small business owner who's trying to get that kind of association with their logo or their brand and their marketing and their message all together. Could you give us a little bit of that?
Sure. If you're a startup or you're looking to reinvent the visual and verbal expression of your brand, try first not to think about your logo and not to think about your colors or your business cards. Try first think about, what do I want to be that is going to draw people to me emotionally? How do I want to draw customers to me and make them want to come back for more? Is that an experience that I can deliver and do it over and over and over again? That will truly help you understand where to go with colors and typeface, film, video, photography, all of those vehicles. Here's a good example. Apple is a great example. Here's another one. Nike, been around for years. They came out in the late 70s. And they came out as a sneakers and athletic apparel, okay? And they reinvented themselves 3 or 4 years into it and said, we are much bigger. We have an opportunity here to be much, much bigger than selling sneakers to professional athletes. They had first aligned themselves with well-known professional athletes. And then they got a bigger idea. And that bigger idea was all about a spirit, an attitude, a mentality that said, stop making excuses, get off your butt, and get involved in life. Go exercise. The literal part of it was go exercise. But go do what you do well. You can be and do anything that you want to be, but don't make excuses. Get up and go do it. So they had the tagline, just do it. What they did is they created this mindset, this complete change of culture. We talked about culture, a complete change in culture that went global. And you know what? They sold tons and tons of apparel and sneakers and this whole attitude about athleticism and exercising. So to me, that's the world's greatest example of a spirit and an attitude. What is the culture of our brand? And then they marketed it. They marketed it in every possible way. As their budgets grew, they're everywhere. They're in print, they're in digital, they're in television, they're in outdoor, there's sponsorships of major events around the world. They're everywhere. They weren't everywhere when they started. But that's an awesome, awesome example of what is the culture and spirit and personality of a brand. And marketing is how we're going to take it to the world.
That was interesting. You said personality of the brand. I was listening to someone on YouTube, and he also used that to make it a person, a feeling, an experience. And so now audience, branding is, what are people going to experience with you? What are you really about? And then marketing is, Tom?
The various ways that you choose. Sometimes it's dependent on budget to get your message out there. So if you don't consider the richness of what you are as a service or a product or a company first, it makes it a lot harder to figure out what to say and how to say it. If you consider the richness of what you are, then you think about, well, how am I going to tell that world? What is my world? Who's the audience that I want to speak to, that I can draw to my business? Now, how am I going to tell them? And there's all kinds of media. We keep exploding the sorts of media to use to take the message out there.
So today, as many of us are home and having to run our business differently, there's so many platforms, right? And when we were speaking earlier, you said so many people forget not only to market themselves, but use testimonials, because that really gives the audience who's listening not only the experience, the feeling, the promise that you're making and that you do deliver. What other ways do you recommend in today's market? I know we should be more aggressive, but give me some ideas that you feel we should be expanding today with the COVID-19 and being at home.
Well, especially because of that corral that it put us in. We're all working from our desktop or laptop. We're all working remotely. So everyone is touching base more than even before they were 2 months ago in their different social media channels. People are writing blogs. We write a lot of blogs and turn them into video blogs. One of the exploding mediums is how people are shooting and using video. We have in our arena here, Your Town Too, which is just featuring everyone's video files to get out to a broad world. So it's using the different mediums you can to get your voice out there, in audio, in video, in the way that you write. Also, when you think about it, every social media channel that we tap into gives you the ability to ask to share, to extend it. You mentioned earlier about, our clients. It's so hard to keep working to convince the world how great we are. And if you've had any success, tap into your clients and your customers, your favorite customers, your clients that are long-standing customers, to do the speaking for you. We too often look for testimonials, but then we'll bury them in a website, and no one's going to look for them. There's new ways to get them out in front of people, to get the people who love being successful with you and love your products to tell the world. So why not do that?
So branding it sounds like, the who are you, why should we like you, why we should do business with you, the feeling of the organization, and marketing obviously is the vehicle that you use to get that message out. Now, many times I find that I have a disconnect, right? I wanna let people know that we are a multi-language insurance agency that represents some of the top carriers in the industry, but most importantly, that I can shop. I can actually shop with multiple companies. Nothing wrong with captive agencies. I'm not saying anything wrong with them, but and then I'm trying to give the message out, but there's a disconnect. Is there a technique on how to make sure that, because that's why many people hire experts, right? Because you get us from, okay, what's that vision into granulate, perfect wording, so the message goes out. Is there any tips that you can give our audience before we start taking questions that can help them get that thought into words effectively?
We have writers who craft language, and you have designers and art directors and filmmakers who craft visual expression. The reality is you need to literally talk to your customers. Go back and talk to those that are your regulars and your successful clients and hear what they're looking for. Because every time that you assume that I understand them and I know them and I know what they want, believe me, they will change. And so be more regular about talking to your customers or knowing the clients and customers in the arena that you want to draw from. What do they think? How do they think? What are their needs? You will so easily then know how to speak to them. You will so easily know how to reach them in the right mediums, because that changes too, especially now in the last couple of months. So, there's a number of things you can do, but first, just talk to your customers and hear what they long for and how quick they want it. And then just be prepared to deliver.
That's interesting, because in sales, they teach us that it's not about you. It's not really about the product itself. It's about how is it good for them, right? Like what's in it for me? So it sounds like marketing has to be the message that delivers on why is this good for you? Why is it beneficial? Like,
absolutely.
Everyone
looks for immediately, they look for what's in it for me.
Right.
Or, you have 2 seconds to get someone's attention. And if in the very next couple of seconds, you haven't shown them why is this relevant to me, they turn the page, they click the commercial, they go away. So you need to get to the point quickly. I've always got this need to try to, as a saying that I've said in meetings many times, and this is the profession that I'm in, And I say, if it looks, sounds, and even smells like advertising, people will zone you out real quickly.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with coming at it in a roughshod way sometimes, as long as that's what the client feels most comfortable with, the customer feels most comfortable with. Think about that. The soup Nazi from way back when in the Seinfeld days, okay? Who would ever care to do business that way and treat their customers that way? But it became such a kitschy way that people enjoyed it,
Right.
to go in there and get insulted, and because it wasn't, big business. It was just, I'm going in to get my soup.
Right.
So, understand how to speak and reach your customer.
Right. So be careful is what I'm hearing with saying, I have a degree, I have this many years experience, and giving your resume. No one wants that, really. It sounds wonderful. And maybe when people are searching you, they should be able to find how many years in business, how well versed you are in your industry. But when you're marketing, you should not be talking about yourself, but why the experience that they will have and the benefits that you offer as an expert in your field. Sounds like it. Did I get that right?
You want to first talk to them, not about you. It's the same rule in networking. If you come up and you're wow, all about yourself, they're already walking away.
Right.
It's show interest in them and that you can connect with why, they're there or what they're looking for. Right. There's room later in that conversation for who you are and why you're credible.
Right. That's awesome. I mean, that's a great way to communicate. Always listen to the other person's, be interested in them. Thank you, Tom. This was wonderful. And
we can do this for hours, but
I know. Maybe we'll have a part 2. Let's see what Alice says.
Yeah.
Alice, what do you say?
I'd say you all are doing a great job, Esther and Tom. Thank you so much. What a great conversation. You all have made a lot of really great points for our audience. And because of that, we have quite a few questions to get to. So I'm just going to jump in. We have a question from Rob Blanda, who says, Geico has been rather unorthodox in their marketing identity methods. They included multiple mascots: pig, lizard, caveman. Originally, I thought this was bad practice, but it works so well for them. Can you lend your opinion of such a changing identity?
It's a long question, but I appreciate the question. In some respects, I'm in Rob's same ballpark about there's great risk when you begin to build an identity and an affinity to a character, knowing when to leave that one behind and move on. The frogs from Bud Light was great fun. And they made that, just a funny, amusing delivery about, the product's name. The mascots, you have to let them play out enough, and then don't let it go stale. That's a major global brand, and I'm sure they're monitoring their numbers. And if they start to go south, we need to juice it up with something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's take another question from Chaya Pamela. It is probably easier to differentiate yourself when you are offering a single service product serving one industry. How do we differentiate when you are serving multiple services or products to a broad spectrum of industries?
To our earlier comments, I would say it's less about the product than the service and more about the brand of the company behind it. Because in that way, you can be consistent in your messaging. The expectation of the experience of that product. It enables a company to drop in new products, new services at any point, as long as you're delivering consistently on the expectation of my experience from that company. Then, what are the attributes of your corporate brand that you can assign to each of those services? So you are continually demonstrating that we're fulfilling the brand expectation.
Fantastic.
Great point. Fernando Arazo asks, what's more important, quality, bringing value to people, or consistency, making yourself known?
I love this. Love this question.
Great job.
Great question. Bringing value to people is by far much more important than the consistency. Because if you don't bring value, you don't get a chance to be consistent. Consistency is everything. Once you've determined we got a great product, a great service, great people behind it. Now, how are we going to get it out there? You have to rely on expertise, an agency maybe, to consistently get that message out there. The degree with which you can make it consistent, your messaging and driving home all the attributes of your brand will really help you grow. But you got to have a great product and deliver value first.
Okay, our next question is from Sushana. How do we tailor our marketing message in the current situation?
It's a little vague because I don't know the industry you're talking about. So it depends on the industry largely. But, we're all sort of challenged to do it, what we're doing here. We're challenged to get our messaging out and what we can write, what we can project over computerized, remote learning. And so indicate as much as you can your expertise, and do that in written vehicles, do that in using video, be the champion for that brand using these are tools. And our tools are going to change once we are able to go back out and meet people. This will never go away. So continue to use the tools to be the champion for your brand.
I was going to say something, chime in. It's such a delicate time because there are families that are not doing well. Their families have lost their jobs. And how do you market, right? Like, how do you continue to market while other people are experiencing difficulties? And I love the fact that Tom said, just keep your message consistent. And it's not about being salesy, but about being informative today. Say what you do, show your expertise. I mean, today I'm a business owner. I'm not an insurance agent, but to me, this was important because I deal with small business owners. And this is why I brought this, because it will help my client at the end and myself. I learned some new things too.
Yeah, Esther, I love that you invited me to talk on these topics because I'm a big champion of entrepreneurs. Probably half or more of our client roster are startups or mid-level that were a startup, and they've made their share of assumptions, their share of mistakes. So all the mindset of entrepreneurs is so important to me. What I've done personally over the last 2 months or so is to promote daily businesses in our region that we all need to stay connected to, that really move our economy, and promote however we can. Yes, business for us has been slow, but that doesn't mean I've been slow. It's critical to reach out and help everyone else. I do believe it comes full circle.
Amen.
Great advice. Our next question is from Patricia O'Neill. In SM, is development of brand personal hashtags relevant? Do you pay a fee now in Twitter or promote in your own as you share?
I've never been charged to pay a fee, so I don't believe that's the case. Technically, I could be wrong, but daily we are promoting in all the social channels that we're connected to, one of which is Twitter, and I attach 2 or 3 hashtags. Because you get a word count problem, and all of a sudden that diminishes your message because you've loaded it up with hashtags. I do believe that developing of your brand personal hashtags. I can't tell you the specific answer to that, to be honest with you, because you're talking about your brand personal hashtags. You want to connect people to what is going to be relevant in that topic. When you reconnect people to the relevance of your topic in other ways, you're showing off your expertise. You're showing that you're knowledgeable in this area, and you can connect them to other channels.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. We've got a couple of other questions that were sent to us by email. So let me get to those. Debbie Lang asks, what are the 5 most important things you should do now for your brand and business to get maximum exposure during this pandemic and quarantine?
First, go back to your current clients and your current customers that are happy. Hear from them.
Yeah.
They've made life good for you. Reach back out to your happy customers, so to speak. Hear from them. They have a lot of bright ideas to offer you. Second, don't be afraid to ask for a referral. You never get what you don't ask for. Let them know how you are doing and ask for a connection or a referral. Understand, where their head is at, how you can be helpful. And it doesn't even always need to be commerce. How can you be helpful to them right now? Mm-hmm. Invest in your brand. Literally, financially invest in your brand. Don't let it sit dormant. A lot of companies have invested a lot of time and resources in people in developing their brand and their brand awareness. And then when you have a crisis like this, it just stops. And it costs you so much later on to get back to that level of awareness and appreciation. So continue to invest in your brand. And lastly, be patient. Be diligent about who you are and what you're all about and getting your message out. One of my personal goals was to stay visible in every way possible, mm-hmm. as long as they're good, as long as they're good ways, so that, you can remain top of mind. I don't know that was 5, but those are some key things to think about.
I want to add something, having a great relationship with your past clients or your current clients. I mean, it depends on the industry. We are a monthly, yearly relationship, but staying in touch and knowing their needs and satisfying those needs. And sometimes those needs, like you said, have nothing to do with you. Yeah. They might not be looking for insurance or whatever other services, but you can do the connection.
Yes.
And being the go-to person is one of the things that I do in my agency. People will ask me, where do I have a wedding? What restaurant do you recommend? And I recommend my customers, if I like their, of course, my customers, but also other places that are nearby in my community. Just being the voice of answer gives you that connection with your audience, that it's much more than just selling a product. It is not only sell, and I'm the best, I'm number one, and think of me only. No, it's about a connection, authentic connection that you can make with that person. So that person thinks of you not only on your services, but other things that you can be the help. Like, look what Tom did. Tom is promoting different businesses. He promoted me as well. He didn't even ask. I was so grateful and so thankful.
Surprise.
And it's a great way. It has nothing to do. Tom is not promoting himself, but he promoted others. And by promoting others, I thought of him. And that's how it works. What are you doing for others outside of you?
This period has afforded us a little bit of a timeout. We're trying to stay as busy as we can and find and stimulate business. But it's also given us all a timeout to rethink, how am I projecting myself? Can I improve the way that we speak about our business? Can I reach people in new ways? It's an opportunity to think and act differently. So think about, how can I project what makes me so special, or makes my company or our products so special? How can I project that out into my marketplace?
Definitely.
That's great. And then last question, can you tell us about any small companies that you think did a particularly good job with their branding?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we know one in this area called Buy Beverages. They, decided when they were beginning, I'm sure there's richer details than I'll explain, but, to take a worldly global view of, what goes behind the launching of a product and a service, and to draw, the very best from a cocoa bean, okay? Or from a coffee bean, to infuse into beverages the antioxidants, so they can be flavorful and have a sense of a global connection and worldly. There's a lot of deeper explanation about where they originated from, but we all know that they have grown tremendously and been very successful. But they started in Hamilton, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is sort of a fun one called Imperfect Produce, and it is a business completely founded on drawing into their inventory all the varieties of produce that are oddly shaped, or they don't look good to be sitting in a bin in a supermarket. Okay, and to resell the imperfect produce, and while benefiting the environment. So their mission was twofold, and it was just very simple to not let things go to waste. Okay, a last one, and some of us have heard of this, is College Hunks Hauling Junk. Just a couple of guys out of college decided this is what we're going to do. They literally bought a truck. They created a logo, not incredibly sophisticated, handsome logo, but they put it on the side of their truck, on both sides, huge. The colors were green and orange, and they got themselves two, colored T-shirts that didn't even start with their logos. So they didn't even, get, monikered shirts yet. And they went out and started building their business. Simple, simple, simple. But they had an idea of who they were, what they were going to do, and, small business. There's an awful lot of small businesses that get anxiety over, I don't have the budget to have a marketing firm or an advertising agency. So hopefully some of the things we just talked about can help them sort of take a step back and say, but we're fun, we're different, we're odd, we're curious. We have a personality. How do we use that in our messaging in the marketplace that's going to draw people in and get people talking about us? Because talk value is huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Great examples. Again, thank you, Esther and Tom. This was a really wonderful and relevant conversation for our audience. So we very much appreciate your taking time out of your schedules to be with us today. And I'd also like to thank our production sponsor, NJ Buzz Productions. If you're not familiar with NJ Buzz, I highly recommend you follow them on Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in with us today. Join us again on Tuesday, May 26th at 12:30 for our next Chamber Live broadcast. Have a great day and be safe and stay well.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Esther. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Alice. And thank you, April. Have a great day.